A troubled Nashville high school under pressure to improve graduation rates made up its own rules as it tried to help get students out the door.
That is the latest finding from our News Channel 5 investigation of Metro schools, and it raises serious questions about the school system's own claims. Metro schools recently put out this big announcement, claiming that graduation rates in the city have skyrocketed.
The biggest gain came at Pearl Cone High School in North Nashville, where graduation rates jumped from 69% to almost 85% in just 1 year. But our chief investigative reporter Phil Williams discovered there's more to this story.
You know, last year Pearl Cone was placed on the state's priority list of the lowest performing schools. But in a recent application for federal funds, Pearl Cone officials boasted that the school's graduation rates are on the rise and that more students than ever are taking advanced placement tests. Still, we discovered the school has been playing by different rules. Out on the football field, the Pearl Cone High School football team plays by the same rules as everyone else. A touchdown is still 6 points. A point after is still 1. But inside the building, officials apparently made up their own rules as the school faced the risk of a state takeover. The results even brought an invitation for the principal, Dr. Sonia Stewart, to meet with the U.S. Secretary of Education.
They make it very difficult for a student to fail.
Kelly Brown is a former Pearl Cone guidance counselor who's blowing the whistle on some of Metro Nashville's testing and grading practices. In 2013, Metro implemented a controversial policy that no student could ever get a grade below a 50. But Pearl Cone's policy was nothing below a 60. That's just 10 points below passing.
Even if a student came in and didn't do anything, they're not going to get anything lower than a 60.
So if a child wads up the test and throws it back at the teacher,
right,
you still get a 60.
You get a 60.
Metro Schools confirmed Brown's story, saying it does violate the district's policies and that no one at the central office knew about it. A spokesperson said the Vanderbilt-educated principal simply misinterpreted the nothing below a 50 policy to be 60. Brown's reaction?
That's very hard to believe.
In fact, she says Pearl Cone teachers challenged their principal about why they were not following the district policy.
So when other people said 50, she didn't say, "Are you sure?" or "Let me check that out," or anything like that. It was, "Well, we're going to do a 60.
We wanted to give Dr. Stewart a chance to defend herself.
And they told me that you just got confused about the difference between 50 and 60.
We're doing really great things here.
But she refused to say whether the grading policy was really something she did on her own.
Yeah, she would have had to have gotten approval through central office for something like that.
She's not the type of person who would go rogue.
Oh, no, 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 no.
And while the Pearl Cone football team knows it has to do more than just show up, Brown had this email where she complained about advanced placement students who 20 minutes into their big AP test were sleeping. She asked why they would pay to take a 3-hour nap. An English teacher replied, per the administration, they get an A as their semester exam just for taking the tests, adding, so they paid for an A basically.
Of course it makes our school look better because we can now say we had X number of students taking AP and our numbers are growing.
And while no one else can score a touchdown for the Pearl Cone team, Brown says that inside the school, another administrator openly bragged about doing online work for students so they could graduate.
Things I told myself, like, I don't want to know that because if it's what it is, then I have to report it.
Then one day she saw it with her own eyes and saw the administrator telling a senior,
well, you need to get back up there and get working on that math so that you can graduate. After all, I'm down here doing your English so you can do that. And I couldn't believe it. Like, I was just floored.
That's when she confronted her colleague. The response,
things like, are these students ever really going to go to college in 10 years? What is it really going to matter? If I don't help some of these students, then how are they going to ever get a diploma? And that kind of thing.
Brown says she reported it to Stewart, but the administrator denied it. And when the central office heard the rumors, this email shows Stewart assured higher-ups that the administrator did not take the course nor the test for the student, but she did get a reprimand for being too engaged with the student.
If someone wanted to find out where the cheating was going on, that record is going to be in the computer system.
Yes.
And as far as you know, no one ever looked at that.
If they did, then they would have found what I said.
Now, Ms. Brown declined to identify the administrator in question here, but she did provide us with screenshots from the school computer system showing that in the case of that one student, the student was supposedly making up 2 separate courses on 2 separate computers at the exact same time. The school system says in a statement that the student was essentially bouncing back and forth between classrooms.
Now, Dr. Stewart didn't want to answer your questions, but what is the school system saying about the whole grading policy?
Well, the statement does not dispute the fact that the nothing below a 60 policy and the policy of allowing students to pay for an AP test to get an A were violations, although it suggests that it was simply a matter of confusion over the school system's policies. And we've posted that statement on our website, newschannel5.com.
All right. Thanks, Phil.